Yeah.
We're live. Good evening. This is Crossing Bridges Talk Show. I'm your host, Larry Montgomery Sr. This is my co-host, William. William, introduce yourself.
Good evening, everyone. I'm William Montgomery. It's a pleasure to be here today.
You got your CNN voice on today.
This is evening.
Okay. Well, another week has slipped by, and we're here again, thank God. And we're going to talk this week a little bit about something different. We didn't come out with a specific topic. We're going to see what comes up. But today I'd like to talk about some of the books I've written. Okay. So if you get a chance to see us live, you don't get a chance to see the commercials. But we try to rebroadcast on Monday evenings or Tuesday evenings, and it does have the commercials in it. So each commercial is really a book trailer. It tells you a little bit about about the book that's written or whatever. Our website is www.theauthorscorner.online. That's theauthorscorner.online. Authors with an S, corner.online. And as soon as I figure it out, I'm going to be able to include the commercials in the live show. I just haven't figured that out yet. But for the last, I guess, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, I've been working on a collection of short stories entitled Quiet Places. That is the series. It's a 15 story collection, which will probably wind up being 3 books with at least 5 short stories in each book. Volume 1 is out now. Probably next week, Volume 2 will be out. Volume 1 has story, obviously 1 through 5. Volume 2 should have 6 through 10, but it may be different. The word count in each volume is at least 40,000 words. So you're getting 3 stories of 10,000 words or 12,000 words each, however it works out. It's not a cookie cutter type situation. The story is whatever it is, and it's not designed to be long. Okay, it's designed to hit it and quit it.
Mm-hmm.
This week I started number 11, and the title of this one is The Antique Shop.
Okay.
Just to give you an example, in volume 1, the first book is The Room, okay, and also includes in there the stairwell, I think the basement, stuff like places where, it can just be an area that's quiet,
Yeah.
you go down or you might just be alone, and things happen.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you may just be watching television, and wondering about this or that there, or, whatever. Things can happen. So this week, the Antique Shop is very interesting because in it, I was able to do some research on a topic that we may or may not discuss here. I don't know. I don't discuss it today, but the topic is religion.
Mm.
And, I am a Christian. And yeah, as a Black man in America, there are a lot of conversations going on about Christianity and slavery and the birth of religion and so on and such. And for someone who has committed themselves to a particular doctrine, it makes you feel kind of uncomfortable sometimes when you look at the picture from my eyes, as being a Black man in America with all of the racist attitudes or whatever, to hear some of the conversations. Well, Christianity was, pressed down on Black people. They had to accept it, or, whatever, be punished. And not knowing what my native religion may or may not have been, coming from Africa to America, it's uncomfortable, you know. Because you don't know. Yeah, you could have been tricked. This is true. But then from your own experience, you have to draw from and say, well, this part seems to work for me,
Mhm.
you know, and the spirit of it, if it works for me, it can work for you, you know.
Mhm.
But yeah, you still have in the back of your mind, well, if I got tricked, then now I'm out here tricking you, you know. So it's uncomfortable. But the point of this whole point is that if in writing this book, this short story, it gave me an opportunity to look into religion a little more. And as I found that voodoo is an African version of Christianity.
Okay.
Okay. And it's very interesting because a lot of the pillars of the, I don't know where that's coming from, but it's starting to get worse. Do you hear that? It stopped. Um, okay. I don't know how this is going to, because it seems like this, and I can't figure out where it's coming from. I have nothing else running. That's getting worse. Okay. Let's see here. I don't think that's changing. Nope. And is it changing now? Nope. Nope. Okay. Well, let's struggle through it and see what happens on the other end. Okay.
That's all we can do.
Yeah.
It's true.
It researching this book gave me an opportunity to learn some things. Okay. It's very interesting, and I tried to fold it into the story that I had started out with, and it's coming together fairly good. You know. What else can I say without telling you what I learned before it's done?
But I would say is read the book. It's available.
I hope it'll be available next week.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, it is to do the work that you've done, the research, and put your heart into these books. I'm proud of you. As my father, as a Black man, I look up to you. And it's you doing something that you love and putting your heart into it. That's important. I mean, not just for the people around you, but for you. You're doing something that's helping you grow as a person, and the research that you're doing is helping you learn whatever it is that you might have not had learned before. I mean, that's an inspiration to other people. Hopefully, hey, every day you're here, you have a chance to learn.
Yeah, that's true, and it's. I guess it's a habit that you learn over time, unless you're just personally driven that way. You just look at something, you say, well, what is that? Why is that the way it is? Different. And so it kind of forces you to look and to delve a little more. And sometimes you learn about things that you may not even use on a regular basis. It may just been a one-time thing that, so well, let me look up that and see what that means or whatever, Google, we've talked about Googling things, don't always jump on the first thing that pops up, look at some of the other pages and see what's there. But this whole thing about voodoo, and because a lot of people have an opinion about it, and your opinion is based on your own experience and or what somebody else has said.
Mhm.
Well, your experience is one thing. Somebody else may have said something that's, I guess, is based on their experience. That doesn't mean it's the same thing that you're going to go through.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Christianity. You say, well, I believe in God sometimes when it works for me. That's when you believe.
Mhm.
You got your own devices. You may not be as good a Christian as you thought you were.
Mhm.
Tell everybody you are. They call you.
Yeah.
But the reality is that you're just not a perfect Christian at that
Mhm.
moment in time. Would you ever become perfect? As I understand it, in the hereafter, yes.
Yeah.
And here and now, that ain't going to happen.
Mhm.
And so you've got to accept that and deal with that in yourself, and then within you interact with. This feedback is driving me nuts, and I don't know what to do. But anyway, all right, we're only 10 minutes. Oh, God. You think if I go out and come back?
Maybe if you adjust the volume
Let me
on
close
your speakers.
and see what happens. Hold
Okay.
on.
Okay. So while we're here, definitely, when you get a chance, check out the book, or books, I should say. If you go to the author's corner online, there's a huge library there with all my father's books, and you can get a subscription. Very inexpensive, but it's very cost effective, and I highly recommend it. If you like to read, check out the author's corner online.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
It's still kind of, it's got that feedback. Okay.
I'll do kind of a commercial.
Yeah, I'm going to go to commercial, but you talk until I get back.
Well, that's what I was doing. I
Yeah.
was doing a little commercial.
Okay.
All right. I'm not sure if we're still online, but if we are, all right. Good afternoon, everybody. Having a little technical difficulties, I should say, but we'll be back in the mix shortly.
I'm here.
Okay.
Is it still? I can still hear it.
Okay, my screen is frozen.
I see you moving though.
Yeah, I just can't see me moving or you moving on my end.
Okay. Live viewers, none. Okay, that's okay. But I don't want to have this out there. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Okay. I don't hear the echo now. Well, not now. Okay. So where were we? We were talking about the book. Okay.
Yeah.
And we were talking about the research behind it. which
Mm-hmm.
was about voodoo.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was very interesting. You might want to Google it and get some insight. But in the book, I do give a lot of insight into it. I wouldn't take it as the only reference if you want to find out about it, but it gives you a little insight about it. My impressions earlier, before reading about it, was that it was something close to witchcraft,
Mm-hmm.
and that's clearly not the case.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly not the case, and it's just unfortunate that, again, as an African American, that all I've been exposed to is that that particular religion was just negative and as close to witchcraft as you possibly could be without being titled witchcraft. Um, uh, what I learned was came from Haiti. And if you know much about Haiti, you got folks that came over again in the slave ships too, and they've had their struggles with white folks, and they're trying to recover from that,
Mm-hmm.
um, which is a struggle.
Oh yeah.
Even in Africa itself, a lot of people here in the U.S. have an opinion about Africa that is totally wrong. They have cities over there that are, much more impressive than the ones that we have here.
Mm-hmm.
And, again, you still have some problems such as racism, classism. You come from Nigeria. I come from Sudan. Whatever. Some kind of a difference that keeps people apart, language, cultures, or whatever. But the thing is that once you embrace the fact that it's not all about you, then you can accept the fact that somebody thinks differently than you do.
Mm-hmm.
And because of their location, the geographics, whatever, their education background, everything's different.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But we all pretty much have the same goal in life: live and to enjoy life. So start there and move ahead. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's echo's starting to come back. This is not good. Okay. Was there something you wanted to talk about? I'm kind of frustrated with it.
I mean, just on those topics that you kind of just mentioned, the things that separate us. I think, competition is good, but I think a lot of people get competitive to the point where it's like life or death. It's like, what, I'm a better cook than you. You disagree. I'm ready to fight you and beat you up into submission. It's like, no, okay, if I think I'm better than you, I should prove it. If I prove it, okay, it's nothing to put you down. It's just maybe you wasn't on top of your game that day. You can always challenge each other again. And, you got healthy competition to kind of, a friend of mine, he has this saying, steel sharpens steel, so if we challenge each other so that we better ourselves, that's good competition. But, you got, well, if I'm not better than you, I got to destroy you. I mean, that's not good competition. That's not good for anybody, anywhere, because there's no coming back from, from some stuff like that, And I think, we as as human beings, I mean, we just got to be, accepting that I can always feel I'm better than somebody else. Doesn't mean it's true. But at the same time, if I feel I'm better than somebody else, I can't force other people to believe what I believe, because I could be wrong because I'm human, you know. And I mean, there's probably a couple million people out there that would say I'm wrong just for making a statement, but that would be their belief. All I'm trying to do is point out, excuse me, the situation. I would never in my life say to a group of people that I'm better than them. I might, like I said, feel better. Hey, I can run faster. I'm taller. General stuff like that. But it's never something that is to put somebody else down. And
well, you use the word competition,
mhm,
and I don't think I used that word. Okay,
mhm,
we have differences, and when you go to competition, my understanding of the word is that there's got to be a victor.
mhm,
Okay, there's no we're not equal. I'm competing to be one of us is going to be better at something.
mhm,
You know, typically here in America, we come up with competition as being a winner takes all type thing. Yeah, there's a theory out there of only the strong survive. You know, um, which is fine if we're fighting over something. But if we work together, we can both continue to survive.
mhm,
Because you're a good fisherman and I'm a good hunter. Should I teach you to fish and you teach me to hunt? Or should
mhm,
I just fish by myself and let you go hunt by yourself? You can do that,
mhm.
but why? There's no real benefit in that. I only eat fish and you only eat, red meat.
Mhm.
Okay.
I mean, but the wisdom behind that would be that if all I want to do is eat fish, then I mean, eventually you're gonna get tired of fish, you know. And if you good at hunting, eventually you're gonna get tired of eating red meat. I mean, even though there's different varieties of stuff that you can hunt, eventually you're gonna get tired. And like, you know what? I don't really feel like working today. What can I do? Well, so and so over there, they fish. Hey, you know what? I got some of this meat here. You want to trade? You're good at what you do. I'm good at what I do. Hey, we could do this every other day or, every other week. You know, hey, good job. You know what I'm saying? I mean, each one teach one. We all get to a better place.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, but if you come to the table with, the wrong attitude, you're going to get the
Hmm.
wrong result.
Yep,
Um, and
all the
again,
time.
because our culture here is based on some basics. Only the strong survive. You know, white is right. Type of thing. This makes absolutely no sense because you'd be surprised how many white people walk around who are actually black.
Mm.
You know,
Or Hispanic.
yeah, or Hispanics that are walking around who are actually not white. And so, but if that's your job in life to identify who's black and who's white, is a pretty lonely job, I would think,
Mhm.
with little reward.
Mhm.
Because there's definitely something else that's more important than that.
Mhm.
And so, anyway, I was talking about voodoo and being, uh, how do you call it, when you've not been tricked, but when you've been brainwashed into believing something in a certain way. Um, I tell you, it was years before I found out really that there were actually black Jews. You know,
Hmm.
You watch the newspaper and you watch the TV, and you never see one. You say, well, do black people just shy away from Hebrew or Judaism? That must not be for us, because I never see anybody who's a black Jew. And then finally, the news messed up and showed, I guess, the Wailing Wall in Tel Aviv. I guess it's in Tel Aviv. There were some black people standing there with the hats on and stuff. And really? That must be refugees. How did you get there? But you can't believe everything that you read the papers.
I mean, you do know that Sammy Davis Jr. was a Jewish man.
I remember that, but I thought that was just because they're trying to get publicity.
Yeah, it's like he was the anomaly, because you don't, like I said, when you hear Sammy Davis Jr. is Jewish, like, are black people Jewish?
Yeah.
Okay, I guess he is.
He's hanging out with all these Italians. Yeah, what's that? I have not seen a black Italian, but I imagine that they probably are black people who were born in Italy, who would be earnestly considered Italians, or are they just black people? I mean, I don't know. I'm just asking.
I mean, technically, if you're born somewhere, that's your nationality. It's going to be on your birth certificate. They really couldn't put anything else. Like, yeah, he was born here, but he ain't from here.
But you know that a lot of people in the West Indies, their birth certificate shows white. Yeah. And they'd be black as you. Not you, but you. Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But a friend of mine, he was talking about like India itself. They have what they call like a caste system. And if you're on a certain side of it, you don't deal with, the other side. I'm not saying it's divided by color or anything like that. It could be by wealth or education. I don't know anything about him. Just putting out what he said. But so maybe there's a reason why they put that on the birth certificate, just so they might be able to fit into a certain system of success.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that there is a definition for each item that's on the birth certificate. And somebody determined what that definition was going to be. And so now you look back at, we talk about institutionalized racism. That's exactly where it's coming from. Because, define that you are black, then you are black. Well, who defined me as black? I think I'm brown. I think I'm chocolate. You see? Oh, you define me as being black. Okay. Not that I have a problem, because there's nothing I can do about it. But it seems like every time you white folks show up, you want to be competitive and prove how good you are at something, and 9 times out of 10 you fail. But you keep working at it. Okay, whatever. I remember basketball, only white people play. White people. Then they finally realized that, these black guys can play better. And so then it became a bigger business. But at the end of the day, and as we know now, once you sign a contract to play basketball for money, you become chattel. Not a human being, but property.
A commodity.
Yeah, and so here you are, when you woke up this morning, you're no longer human. You are part of the inventory. But because you're making so much money, you really don't complain. Yeah, that's okay. I'm not hating. I probably could have been, a paid athlete, but I wasn't focused on that. It wasn't for me, you know. Hey, and I probably would have had to buy into that definition of being chattel, like everybody else in the league, and just accept it. But I know that at the end of the day, when the paycheck comes out, I wasn't the one who defined myself as property. Somebody else did.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're 30 minutes in.
Yeah.
What we got?
You touched on the point of, contracts and stuff like that. I think that's a topic that probably should get some airplay, some discussion on it, because there's a whole lot of contracts out there, not just the ones you talked about with sports and stuff like that. But, we're associated ourselves with lots of different contracts. Even when you go for a regular job, it's kind of an employment contract. When you go for a loan, you're getting a contract, especially if it involves payments. You buy a house, contract, buy a car, contract, all these contracts. But I don't think a lot of people understand how important these contracts are. Yeah, they give you a good price sometimes, or they tell you something that you can afford, but you really got to know what you're signing. I'm not saying, well, if you have the funds, definitely would recommend to have a lawyer look it over. But if not, sometimes it might take you a minute to look it over and, hey, let me take this home and look at it. Because when you sign it, you're agreeing to those terms. And if you didn't write those terms and you don't know what those terms are, you're stuck with what you got. And I think that screws over a lot of colored folks, Black people, African Americans, whatever you want to associate yourself as. And any person that doesn't know what they're signing, can get screwed, and not in a good way, meaning, you wake up one day and you're like, dang, I'm still paying on this and I got other responsibilities and it's just not working out. I got to let something go or let something pass until next month. And you're never in that position till you're in that position. But if you look at these contracts and you're like, well, I got to make sure I'm covered just in case something happens, just like insurance, they want you to pay them every month just in case something happens. Well, I need to look at this contract because just in case something happens, I'm responsible for, for this stuff. And I'm responsible for whatever else pops up in my life, whether it be children, marriage, buying a house, buying a car, whatever my find. If I get a advancement at work, that's great. But what if I get reduced? What if I get let go? I'm on the hook for this for how many months? You know what I'm saying? What are the penalties? It's all these things in these contracts that everybody is associated with, whether it's down to a department store card or you buying a house. You got all these contracts that a lot of people don't read. And I'm not no avid reader of contracts. I try to get the good gist of it, but the reason I'm saying this stuff is because I've been thinking about stuff lately and I'm like, and I put myself in, these situations because of stuff I didn't know at the time, because of conversations that weren't had, or maybe they were had, but I wasn't listening. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not saying this as from a position of, oh, I know better than everybody else. I'm saying from a position of, I didn't know what I was doing, but the only person I could blame is me. You know what I'm saying? I can't blame somebody else for not telling me that there was something in that contract that I signed. I have to look in the mirror and say, you did this to us. You know what I'm saying? To you and me. But and I'm just saying it so people can look at that and understand that, at the end of the day, you want to protect yourself and the things that you're responsible for.
Well, the contract goes both ways.
Hmm.
The person who is um, already financially into this service or whatever, is trying to protect themselves, and
Hmm.
you on the other side of it, you need to protect yourself. Now, I don't know any contracts that are designed for the average person to understand all of the ramifications. The whole purpose of the contract is a legal document obligating both sides. Typically, the one who is handing you the contract to sign has designed it to protect their interests.
Hmm.
And you, the person who is being handed the contract, need to read it thoroughly to understand how, well, clearly, your rights aren't being protected.
Hmm.
This is not written for you to protect your rights. It's written to acknowledge your rights, but not to protect you.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, should you get a lawyer, you weigh the cost of hiring a lawyer to read it and then give you an opinion versus not hiring one and just signing it and giving it back. And that's the clock goes round and round. Then there's other people who figured it out and said, I'm not signing any contracts. So everything I do is cash and carry, even when it comes to buying a house. I don't have to go to a real estate broker office or whatever to buy a house. I can go to the person who's living there, and if they actually own it, I can work that out. And the only contract I'm signing, if I've got cash, is the deed.
Hmm.
And that deed just says whoever holds this is the owner.
Hmm.
Okay, long as it's that thing. But anyway, short of buying a house or real estate, you can actually, and even with those two, you can actually live your life on cash.
Hmm.
You know, one of the problems is with cash is protecting it, because if you have cash and you put it in the bank has a contract with you when it opened the account. So now they have a responsibility to make your money available to you whenever you want it. But their job, their businesses, is to take the money that they have their hands on and make money with it.
Hmm.
So around and around we go again. You have your cash and you keep it in your house, and your house don't burn down or you don't get robbed, you're good. House burns down, you don't have insurance, a contract,
Hmm.
you're screwed. Okay.
Can I throw something on it too?
Somebody comes to
Huh?
and takes your money. How you prove to the authorities that you had that cash in there?
Hmm.
So, yeah, around and around and around we go.
Well, that's what I was going to say, because I think by law, it's a problem if you have $10,000 of cash. I mean, you could have 900. I mean, you could have $9,999, not a problem. But you had that 10,000, got some legal issues possibly. So if you got more than $10,000 in your house and you got to make a claim, and you say, "Well, I got $15,000 in the house," and I'm like,
Claim to who?
what you doing? Yeah,
Who you gonna
that's
claim?
what I'm saying. You know,
You don't have
it
any
becomes,
insurance,
yeah.
and you can have more because it is consistent with your lifestyle,
Mhm.
and you can earnestly make a case, you can have witnesses or whatever, a different conversation. But if you don't have insurance, who are you going to complain to? Who's responsible to give you your money back?
Nobody.
And I guarantee you, the guy who stole it, they ain't coming to give it back. So, okay, probably somewhere along the line you have to sign a contract, you know. And make a decision whether you want to read it yourself, figure it out, or an attorney, or just accept it and keep it moving. Things. But you're right. You know, they asked you to sign it for a reason. And if they wrote it, it definitely ain't in your favor.
Right. I mean, knowledge is power. I mean, if you are okay with the mystery, then you can be willy-nilly about it. If you're a certain type of person that feels like there's people out to get you, you know, trying to get every nickel out of you, every dime out of you, you know, it might behoove you to look it over, because, you know, sometimes you don't know the penalties for late payments, and that could play a big part. You know, sometimes people don't look at the fine print and see how much interest is being tacked on there, you know, and that's a huge part, you know. And I mean, even with a bank account, like, you know, your bank offers a certain type of interest on it. You want to know that, because if you got your money in there for a certain amount of time, it should grow a certain amount, you know. So all these things are important to you as the individual, because it's your money or your time or whatever it is that you're signing away.
Yeah. Yeah. So read all the contracts.
Or suffer the consequences.
You got to do what you got to do. Most people, they ain't gonna read it.
Yeah, I know. But you say it so that they know, and they, like I said, they can't say that nobody cared enough, didn't care enough to say something. You know, they said, well, so and so told me, but I just didn't care. Hey, you know, I mean, you don't have to do nothing, you know. But you know, if you knew better, you do better. You know, that saying right there.
Yeah, well, that's true. And yeah, there's a lot of people who sign a contract, not read it, and then when they have a problem, go back and read it and realize, oh, there's actually a problem with this contract.
Yeah,
I ain't got to go down there and at them. Let's go down there and show paragraph so and such and such says this, and I'm looking for you to do
that. Matter of fact, case in point is a lot of people in the music industry. Look at Prince, for example. You know, when he realized that he was getting screwed over on his contract, you know, he couldn't use his own name. What did he do? I mean, he figured a way to still make music. He did it under, what was it? First, he went to the artist formerly known as Prince, then the Sign. You know, he did a couple of different things so he can do something without benefiting the people who he was contracted to under his artistry name of Prince. Now,
yeah, it's a separate company, you know, a separate name. You know, you copyright it, and okay, now I'm operating as an artist known as Prince. Now, what you gonna do? Nothing.
Yep.
You know?
It's a hassle. But there are things that if you know what you're dealing with, then you know how you can operate. If you don't know what you're dealing with, you're at their mercy.
Oh, sure. And usually people, you know, listen, you know, you got discovered and they're trying to throw money at you, just sign here and okay. And then down the road, you realize how much money you're making versus how much money they're making. And you're not happy with it.
Yep.
And say, okay, now you got to go out and spend money, get yourself an attorney who actually knows what they're doing and fix it. You know, but probably had you read the contract before you signed it in the beginning, you may have just been able to let's cross that line out and then I'll sign it type thing.
But have them initial it once you cross it out.
yeah, but you know,
That's
the point is that you picked up on it, you made the change beforehand, and it is what it is. But clearly, having a contract handed to you by someone else is only designed to protect them,
mm-hmm.
because they would be a complete fool if they wrote a contract that they paid for designed to protect you. That would make absolute sense. You know, is there someone out there who's done that? Probably not. But if they were, okay, good for them. And you found them, okay, they were available for a reason. Okay? But yeah, contracts are important. Important, and it's important to read them. And again, you have to, and that's why a lot of people, some people understand that before I sign the contract, let me go home and think about it.
Mm-hmm. Give me a few days.
Right. Give me a few days, because all of the excitement just, rolls off for a minute there. And then you start to think clearly, that, well, what if? And I want to read the contract or have someone else read it and have a conversation with them and then come back,
Yep.
Which is fine, because the worst thing can happen is this ain't the deal for you.
Mm-hmm.
So this one wanted me, this one provides this service, whatever. There's always another body out there that'll provide the same service or better or more. So, and if you're dealing with something that there's only one, you better figure out another job, because that ain't going to last. There's always somebody out there out thinking and thinking and thinking on how to take over whatever it is you got going on.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So anyway.
Another thing, negotiations. There's a lot of stuff that I didn't know about. Like when I was working for the federal government. I don't know how long this topic is going to be, but it's we got that not that much time. But
mm-hmm.
I worked in the military for 20 years, got out. Now I'm a civilian, trying to look for jobs, whatever. I finally wound up getting a job at the VA, and it was I'm sitting there looking at this stuff, and I found that you're able to negotiate your pay, if you get hired, but you can only do it when you're initially getting hired. So if you're not aware, you tend to miss out. And I don't think a lot of us have that conversation to even know that's available. I mean, it's pretty much with any job you have, like they may have a price range that they're willing to pay, based on your skill level. And if you show them maybe in the interview or based on your resume, like, well, hey, I know this is what you're posted on your job board, but I believe I'm worth $1 more, or $2 more, or whatever, within reason. And they may be willing to pay you that because they know by looking at what you provided to them that you're worth every penny of it, and they'll pay you. But if you don't know how to do it or what to say, or even that it's possible, you might be missing an extra $2, which could definitely put you in a different ballpark,
Well, you can negotiate anything.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing you got to do is understand that you got to ask for it.
Yep.
And then you got to be prepared to them saying no.
Mm-hmm.
Now, no doesn't always mean no.
Mm-hmm.
No might mean, well, no, I can't agree to that, but my boss can.
Mm-hmm.
And then it could be, no, I'm not agreeing to it, and I'm not going to tell my boss about it. And then you just look at them and say, well, who's next? Because somebody going to pay, and they're going to pay me what I want.
Mm-hmm.
And just be willing to accept it and move on. And analyze what a majority of people want to face. You made me an offer. And I'm so glad that you didn't figure out that I'm a complete idiot. So I'll take it.
Mhm. Yeah.
You know,
Well,
right. And and sometimes what you're looking for, what they say they're looking for, is not what they're looking for. They're
mm,
looking for something else. Oh, well, I'm a college graduate and I have some experience in banking. And I'm applying for this job, and they say, yeah, well, we'll hire you, and this is the price we're going to pay you. Oh, could you give me a little more because and this no, I can't. We have 40 other people standing in line for this job. This is all I can offer you. Well, okay, the 40 other people you have standing in line, not one of them is black.
mhm,
Well, maybe we can let me talk to and I'll see. All of that comes out their mouth. But they may say, well, look, we're not hiring you because of color. And you look at them and say, well, you should, because you ain't got nobody else in here that look like me and is going to think like me and is going to represent the people who I represent, who are banking with you.
mhm,
A lot of people bank with Chase. When I first went there, a lot of black people, and Chase wasn't putting $1 out in the black community.
mm,
Oh, but I bank with Chase. Yeah, I bank with Chase. And all your money is going out to white communities to better them, and not
mm,
$1 is coming back to your community.
mm,
And so, yeah, they'll pay a black person a little more to keep their mouth shut
mm,
about it. Well, you know what's going on.
mm,
We hired you because we need to have a face in that community so we can keep getting that money coming in,
mhm,
because it's really free money. All we got to do is collect it.
mhm.
You know, oh,
True.
I went to so and so university, and I know it. All you know is what they know. When they see you come in and sit down, we got a black one over here.
Mm,
Now what? But nowadays, you see a lot of black people coming together and on their own bank.
mhm,
So things can be different, just not just with banking, with anything. We sit here and complain about what somebody else is not doing for us, but you can go and do it for yourself. You don't have to worry about that.
yep.
Then the conversation changes.
Drastically.
Great. But anyway, you know, okay, we've hit the 51-minute mark.
Mhm.
And did you want to say something?
Yes. Um, if you'd like to make a suggestion on some of the topics that we may discuss in the future, please hit us up, send us a comment, and we'll take it under advisement, and we'll see if we get that on the schedule.
Okay, I just got a comment that came in from Jay the Boss. Y'all heard about white dude Taylor Racks, WWE star who just became a trans woman? No, I didn't hear about that. And
Me neither.
I'm not necessarily a wrestling fan, so I don't know much about them. And
Mhm.
I'm definitely not interested in someone's sexuality because that would be a personal problem. So I'm sorry, Jay, we're not going to be able to have much of a debate on that one, but keep trying. And now, thank you, thank God, and God willing, we'll see you next week, as long as the creek don't rise.
God bless everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.